It was widely expected that the Blue Jays would be aggressive either in trades or through free agency. And look at what they just went and did in signing George Springer to a 6-year contract, one of the best players in the game right now. Let's focus on this with Buck Martinez and Joe Siddall. First to you, Buck, what kind of a player have they acquired here?
Well, Jamie, he was the MVP of the World Series in 2017 for the Astros, and he's a multiple All-Star. He's won Silver Slugger awards. He's a center fielder, and I know he's played a majority of his games for his career in right field, but still, he's a legitimate center fielder, something the Blue Jays didn't have, and something they wanted to add to this roster. First-class performer, big-time performer. You'll remember in 2017, he struck out 4 times in game one against the Dodgers and then came back and won the MVP award. So he's unflappable. He's a tremendous person, great character, good clubhouse guy. He really checks all the boxes of what the Blue Jays wanted to accomplish in this free agent offseason.
And especially when you talk about adding to this young core that we've talked about over the last couple of seasons. I know we've talked about names like Nelson Cruz and the veteran type hitters that maybe the Blue Jays could add to help the young hitters in this lineup. I was hoping for a DJ LeMahieu maybe this winter to become a Blue Jay. But when you land somebody like George Springer, you cannot put a value on not only what he's going to bring to the Blue Jays lineup, but to each individual in that lineup. Our cameras oftentimes catch great shots during the broadcasts of hitters talking to each other during the game, between at-bats, between innings. Those conversations extend to batting practice and in the batting cage, in the clubhouse, at your lockers. That's where this guy is going to come in very handy. You cannot put a value on teaching young players how to approach certain pitchers, how they might approach you. Those conversations are going to be integral in helping the development of this young core that we've been talking about.
Speaking of the broadcast, Buck, when you and Dan were providing the commentary on the games, and I was asked to do some kind of an update from a game involving the Astros, it was almost always George Springer leading off a game with a home run. So if you put your managerial cap back on and you're trying to devise a lineup, does he lead off for this team?
Well, right now he does, Jamie, but, we're still a month away from spring training. So when you look at this roster the way it's made up right now, sure, I think he would lead off. He's got a 919 OPS in the first inning for his career. So he likes to start the game with some excitement. And, he's got pop. He's got the potential to hit 40 home runs. He's never really hit well in Minute Maid Park. I think he's got a 259 average in Minute Maid Park. And it's a pretty hitter-friendly ballpark. But we all know what a great place Rogers Center is. You don't have to look any farther than Jose Bautista and Josh Donaldson, what their careers did when they moved to Rogers Center on a full-time basis.
I think Kevin Biggio, of course, did a great job in the leadoff spot because he does such a good job at getting on base. But Buck, I as a catcher, and I know that you know this as good as anyone or as well as anyone, when you got a guy like George Springer sitting in the on-deck circle, when your 9 hitters up there, you're starting to get nervous about what with fingers to put down. When you turn that lineup over and you've got a guy like that coming up, that is dangerous to the opposing pitcher and catcher. And I like to have him in that leadoff spot. Find a way to mix in Biggio, and he'll be good wherever you put him. But I like George at the top.
It's a 6-year deal, Buck. Do you think this might even so slightly change the perception of Toronto as a destination?
Absolutely, Jamie. I think that was the case back in the late 80s, early 90s when they signed the likes of Jack Morrison, Dave Winfield, and Dave Stewart, Jose Canseco. It was a destination for baseball because players wanted to come to Toronto to win, and that proved out in 92 and 93. And I think the Blue Jays are on the verge of that right now. They're on the cusp of becoming that time again, that type of team once again. And I think it's important that you sign Springer and, you continue to add to this team. And all of a sudden, other free agents start to look at Toronto as someplace they'd like to play.
And I think winning is the key word you just mentioned, Buck, because once you start winning, that does attract players. Remember last winter, the Blue Jays landed Hyunjin Ryu with an $80 million contract. You knew they were going to build off that. I didn't think it'd be a George Springer type, but that is great news for Blue Jays fans. Now you keep building. And now that you've landed those two big free agents, if I'm a free agent out there in the market, Toronto becomes much more attractive because of that young core, but also because of what they have added. And you know that they are now in win mode right now.
And gentlemen, it certainly feels like the Blue Jays are not even close to being finished assembling the roster for 2021. I appreciate this roster. Our thanks to Buck Martinez and Joe Siddall.